Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are in creative because we are going to be mapping out some type of idea for the passion project. And yes, it is going to be bees. I have to have bees. Of course I have to have bees. Bees are amazing. So I am going to be building a beehive in creative today. So then I can actually have somewhat of a map because we got a new mod. I can't remember the name, but I will put it up on the screen so you can see it. It basically just makes it so I can make a build and then use a outline, and it gives me the amount of blocks I think too. It'll just help with building basically, so I can just use the outline of the build that I made in creative to actually make it in survival, because building in survival is hard and I really enjoy building in creative, but I want to be able to do that in my survival worlds as well. We're just gonna start. I guess I'm just gonna get into it and I'll kind of give you guys a little voiceover as well, so you know what is going on during this process. And yeah, let's get to the video. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is start with the outline. Now we are going to be building somewhat of a stone base at the partial bottom. It's not going to be the full part of it, just because we don't need that much stone, but most of my builds in the passion project have some type of stone base to them. So we're going to incorporate that style into this build as well, because we want it to actually fit into the passion project. So here we are. Alright, so now that I actually have the stone base laid out, I am going to actually raise the foundation by one and just start to implement little pieces of stone brick and andesite into the actual foundation. Alright, so as I said before, I just basically went around and added andesite and stone bricks, and then here I'm just raising the level up one. I decided just to go with 2 high just because I didn't want it to be too much stone. On top of it, then I add kind of a lip at the edge to just kind of give the foundation a little bit more shape. I also add, I think, a few stone walls in there as well, just to kind of create some different shapes. But that's basically all I do. I also end up kind of messing around with like a porch type situation, but nothing really comes from that. I basically just do a pretty bland porch. After I do the porch, I start to fill in the actual inner parts with grass. The reason I chose to fill it all with grass is because, as you can probably guess, it is going to be a huge bee sanctuary. So we need the whole place to be full of grass so we can actually have flowers and trees and plant different things. Here I kind of start to add some of the glass around and some of the posts as well. I decided to kind of go for a more intricate design. I didn't want it to just be all glass because that would be a little bit boring, and I don't do boring builds. At least I usually don't. So I also then add in these little side walls as well. You'll get better views here once I fully complete that side. Now you can kind of see I split it off into almost like 2 different windows, 2 different levels. The thing is, it's not actually going to be 2 different levels. I just mainly did this for looks and looks only. I use quite a few trapdoors, a lot of fences, and quite a few stairs as well, just to kind of give it more dimension and shape. I didn't want it to just be a flat build. I wanted this to be a pretty grand, beautiful build just because it's gonna be a bigger build and it's going to be a centerpiece of one of the areas in our passion project SMP. So as you can see here, I'm just basically copying that design onto the other side. And then from there, I start to actually lay out the inner area of the entrance. There is only going to be one entrance on this building because I didn't think about doing 2 entrances. I probably should have, just because it's such a big building and we're doing this in survival, so it would probably be useful to have 2 entrances. But, you know, it's fine. It looks great. I do end up changing up this entrance though, because I realized that it is off-center and one of the sides is a little bit longer than the other, and it definitely was bothering me. So I fixed that, and then I also do end up changing the entrance completely here in just a second. Now I'm actually fixing the entrance, and as you can see, I went with a completely different design, which I think ended up pretty well. I think it looks pretty good. I don't think I want to change much about it, just because I definitely like the more intricate but also simple designs. Here, as you can see, I start filling in some of the sides as well, kind of laying out where the glass is going to be. And then I also start to add in all of these posts so then I can build the design walls that I end up kind of changing. I do end up changing these a little bit as I go, so just kind of bear with me. I end up taking those trapdoors off because the trapdoors were not working well with the roof. It looked really good and I really enjoyed how it looked, but the issue was putting the roof on. I couldn't do that when the trapdoors were there, and if I did it with the trapdoors there, you wouldn't even really be able to see the trapdoors, so there was no point. I do end up changing the time a lot. Please bear with me as I do that. I probably should have just made it always day, but I completely forgot to do that in the world creation process, so sorry about that. I do end up changing this window, as you can see. I add kind of a more intricate design as well. Thinking process when it comes to designing my builds. I wish I could explain it more, but there's really no good way to explain how I build other than going literally block by block so you guys can see what I'm doing, and that would be a really big video, and I feel like nobody would actually want to watch that fully through, so there's no point in making that unless, of course, it is requested. If it is requested, then of course I will do it. I will show you how to build this block by block. But a lot of this was just kind of go as I build and figure it out as I build and see how it looks, take a step back, retry some different ideas. But a lot of it is just kind of winging it. And I think that's what I like the most about building, is seeing how creative I can actually get while also trying to make something that looks good and looks like it would almost be an actual building. So as you can see here, I start to add in some of the polished deep slate. as kind of the lining or the outer edge of our roof. And here you can also see I end up deleting all of those trapdoors and just replacing it with the roof because I couldn't figure out how to make it work where you could actually see the trapdoors still, but also the roof wasn't floating. It was just kind of, there was no way to do it. Maybe there was a way to do it. If you have any types of way where I could have kept those trapdoors, let me know in the comments because I would love to hear any ideas. Just because I did love how the trapdoors looked as kind of the outer edge of those walls, but just didn't work. I couldn't figure it out. So if you can, kudos to you. I would love to try any ideas. But as you can see, I'm keeping the classic roof that we usually do for all of our buildings in the Passion Project by using just light blue concrete, glazed terracotta, some concrete powder, as well as just regular blue concrete and glazed terracotta for that as well. But then here I just end up deciding to go for kind of a pointed tower roof. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of my builds in the Passion Project have some type of rounded or pointed roof, and it kind of gives just more of the fantasy vibe to it, and that's what we're going for in the Passion Project. So that is why I continue with these roofs. I hope you're not sick of them, because I still absolutely love doing these types of roofs. They're so satisfying, and I think it just gives the build a lot more character. It's not as bland, and there's just more to it. So for now, I will let you guys watch the rest of the video without me bothering you. I just wanted to talk a little bit through some of the building, some of the process, and some of the ideas that I had in my head. Now, if you guys would want a full tutorial or tutorials ever in general, let me know, because I would have to go about recording in a very different way to do a tutorial. A lot of my builds are pretty big and they are very time consuming, so keep that in mind as well. I do take quite a bit of time to do my builds just because I like to have bigger builds. It's go big or go home, right? I mean, that's how it is in my head. You know, you could be completely different. Maybe I need to do some smaller builds so you guys can actually see some smaller builds and then maybe do some tutorials on those. But if we would like to see a tutorial on a bigger build like this one, or maybe even this one, let me know, because I will do it. It's just gonna take me a little bit more time than I would usually take on a video. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.